All right, hey, thanks for tuning into this week's contribution stream. I'm going to get started on phpstan-drupal this week. Last week I worked on retrofit. I want to bounce back to phpstan-drupal just because there is a bug that came through today that I'd like to fix up, and then maybe try to do some feature development. We'll see where it goes. But this one, we have some logic in a very, very old piece of code that's causing an internal error when a method does not exist, or for some reason, I'm not sure why it's erroring, but that's what we're going to figure out. So I'm going to go ahead and create my branch, and we'll get started on that. I have installed this plugin for IntelliJ called Presentation Assistant, so now all the keyboard shortcuts will show up at the bottom of the IDE, since I tend to use a bunch of them and always forget to call them out. So I've got, but now that's kind of annoying if it does it every time I press an arrow. Oh well. So we're gonna go ahead and dive into the rules. So this is inside the Drupal dependency code base, or global Drupal dependency injection rule. And again, this code's pretty old, from 2018. It was one of the first rules added to phpstan-drupal. And the error's happening right around here where the scope function is not a method reflection. And it's trying to do a check about if the method's static or not. And that example code's erroring, and what we should probably do is just return an empty array here. But instead, I want to replicate this code and see if we can figure out why it's happening. So if I go to rules, we have data in here. Let's create, not minimize. Let's do new file, bug 580.php. And we'll create the test case first. The namespace bug 580. Let's go copy this code. And let's rename it to be foo. We'll call the constructor bar, and we'll call this function baz. So it's calling an undefined function here, and I don't know if this is what's erroring or something in here. So we're gonna get the test written and then debug it. So global Drupal dependency injection rule test. You can go ahead and add this rule here. So 580. All right, so 580. Let's run the test, which that's just gonna rerun that one test. So let's run this single test real quick and see if we can get to the debug of this error. Or it should crash, rather, sorry. Brain's a little slow. Unable to detect Drupal. Let's rerun the tests. That's just a one-off error. All right, internal error. Perfect. Should not happen, so let's throw a breakpoint here. And remove the unnecessary parentheses. And see what we're getting back as the scope function. So let's run the debugger. And you wait for the breakpoint. Because it's weird, we're getting the function name, but it's not a method reflection, but this is a method. Oh, ha. Because it's a function inside the method function. It's not it's not even a closure, but we'll see what it comes back as. Catch. So that's interesting. I wonder if I guess it will be just a scope function is a PHP function from parser node. So let's see, get function. Do I need to have this anyways, scope function, set stop is null. So let's just say if it's equal to null or is static, get function. Let's see what returns or what happens with this step. What's going to return? Called an undefined method, extended method reflection, function inflection is static. And this isn't going to jump into that source. Let's pop up class member reflection. Let's look at these two things that can be returned. So it can be extended method reflection or function reflection. I guess what we should do first is if scope function is equal to null, we're going to just return no errors because I don't know what we should do here. Which shouldn't happen if the function name is empty, but so function reflection is final, is internal. I guess if it's a function reflection, that means it is static by nature. But let's look at this method reflection, because we need to see if it's a method reflection that is static or not. Is deprecated. We need to see what these might share. Is final, is internal. That's going to be hard to do. And then we get class member reflection. So we could say, hey, thanks for joining. It's going okay. Just a little brain fog. The well, as I'm sure you know, the Midwest is under that blanket of Canadian wildfire smoke, and as somebody that's had asthma since childhood, I feel absolutely wonderful right now. Kidding. Just a day and a half of this stuff lingering has made me feel like garbage. But hopefully it should be out of our area within the next day or so. Yeah, we've got air purifiers, but they need new filters, and it's like the worst time to have not bought the new filters ahead of time. But they're doing their job. It's just I had to go replace a car key today, and even driving with like the AC on and this recirculation, it was just horrible. So I feel for anybody that has worse asthma than I even do, or any other conditions, because it's not fun. All right. So is static is only available if it is part of a method reflection, and I don't want to do like instance of for any of these. Is internal, get dot comment. Oh, wait, yeah, Drupal Camp Asheville's not next week, is it? Or are you heading early? Either way, yeah, going to Asheville, get some mountain air. That'd be great. Go to the Blue Ridge Mountains. I am jealous. So you know what? We're just gonna go for this right here. So or scope function, instance of function reflection. This is tagged at API, so that's good enough because static functions are always static in nature. And since it's an either or, we can go there. And I think I can remove that other check. Static scopes must. What word did I use here? Call. I think that explains itself enough. Going down Tuesday, take a few big deep breaths along the way. All right, so that should fix this test. Let's rerun it. Not replace. I don't want to do replace. I'm trying to get better at using shortcuts along the way. So this should fix that test case or that failure. So if the scope function is equal to null for whatever reason, we ignore it. And I wonder if this should go earlier. So static call to class, node get node class. I think this is fine. I think this logic works and is somewhat optimal. Wait for this. That passed. All right, but the whole test needs to pass. So let's run it and then get ready to commit it. And while that's running, I'm going to go ahead and vendor bin phpcs. Just make sure I clean up my code here. Then phpstan, just to see. I don't think anything should have broken. Rename that to inside. No, I'm not going to get the professional plugin. And wait for this to finish running. Actually, wait. Brain broken. Okay, I will let you know. There's a deprecation on head. I will let you know if I hear of anything. I think so, but I will follow up after this stream. So browser defaults theme rule 941. Did not trust me. It's not like my train of thought can be derailed very easily. Just happens. Get parts. So I'm going to go ahead and I'll get parts just to fix that inline here. Let's go ahead. And just rerun that. Because otherwise, I'm going to have to fix head, then rebase this branch. There's no point in going through all that extra work. So let's go commit these changes. Just double check everything. So look at the tests. Yep, fixes that. The rule, we add our test case. Or that's, yeah, in this rule, we are getting rid of the exceptions and just doing the proper static checks. Then test case. Test case. Better static scope checks for Drupal static calls. Sure. Commit and push. I'm sure there's a better name for it. Let's do analyze. Come on. Probably should just turn, I need to remember to turn it off in here. I need to turn off the analyze here because I already do it before commit. Because I blend between using the command line and then my IDE for everything. All right. Sure, review the code analysis. That's not a problem. Sure, commit anyway. Let's push. That's weird. It said that there's this runtime exception. And let's go to, all right, I'm going to try this. Pull request. No, what? View. No. I want to try to automate, like, to just do this in here. Yeah, okay, it's showing me that. Why did I lose? Ah, here's the plus sign. Let's try this create pull request. See, it doesn't auto-populate. I try, but I can't bring myself to use the CLI, or not the CLI. I can't bring myself to use the user interface for pull requests because this is just so much easier on the command line with GitHub PR create, scope, edit this, fixes. It's going to fix 580 and submit. And now we should have the pull request. Great. So the other thing I was going to look at is I want to check out this trusted callback rule feedback. But then there was this issue where we got an error where undefined array key class somehow showed up in the service map, and I have no idea how it could happen. Oh no. How did this fail already? Circle CI is failing. That's kind of like a deprecated runner. Why did it fail? PHP unit. Oh, because I really did break the test. It's right here and I ignored it. Geez. I forgot I ran it and that it broke the test. Okay, so data set 0. Let's just rerun this, rerun the failed test. So Drupal static, this should be what's going to happen here? There are 2 failures. All right. So here, let's go to the legacy fixtures area directory because I thought I had to like have it inside a Drupal site for this to work. Found out do not need to. So uses deprecated URL function, test function URL. So this broke. That's not great. Public function. So why and how did I break this? So again, we're going to put a breakpoint there. I'm going to let's try and debug the rule. So one thing that's interesting with this presentation plugin or presentation assistant plugin is I'm actually learning shortcuts along the way because it's showing it whenever I do an action. So if anybody's curious, inside plugins, installed. It's called Presentation Assistant. I install it right before the show. And when you customize it, it says, what is your key map? And then shows the alternate. So that's why it's able to show like, oh, if I'm using Mac OS, but if you're using Windows and Linux, it would be this one. So that's pretty cool. All right, so we're in here, this class scope class reflection. Deprecated, okay. So scope function, what's going on here? PHP method parser from node reflection. So scope reflection is not null. And, oh, wait, is instance of function reflection, let me guess. PHP method. Yep. Extended method reflection. Method reflection. Extends PHP function. There we go. Implements PHP function. Well, that's not what I want to have happen. Shoot. So I guess I need to have this check if it's extended method reflection. The purpose of this interface, more question about methods while breaking backward compatibility with the existing methods class reflection extension. Developers are meant only to implement method reflection. Shoot. Assertions. No. And of course, the variants don't necessarily help there. Well, we're going to have to fix this. I don't like how this looks. So I'm going to break it up. So if scope function is equal to null, we're going to return I'll say if turn or actually hold on. We'll do if it's not an instance of, and then if. It's very verbose, but sometimes that's better than being fancy with it. So let's go ahead and rerun that test, and now it should pass. I hope. And I should pay more attention to those errors. All right. When they show up in the review analysis. So let's go ahead. I'm going to rerun the rule in its entire, or the test in its entirety. Reorganize checks on function reflection. All right, now it looks like it's going to pass okay. Let's do commit and push. Analyze the code. Let's review the analysis. So that's where PHP Storm says null pointer may occur, but actually phpstan is a bit smarter and doesn't report that error. That's coming from the, what is it? PHP Inspections EA Extended plugin, which I really do mean to buy the Ultimate because this is like the free version. And it's very helpful, so I should really pay for it. All right, we'll see if this fixes our logic. All right, so next, I'm going to let that run through. Oh, what? Come on now. Now, what did I break? Some kind of linting, phpcs, go figure. I relied on PHP Storm's checks for me. phpcs. Let's commit and push. And then I need to dive into this error that happened in a Drupal core issue around supporting auto wiring and then our service map detection. Commit push anyway. All right. So service auto wiring. I don't know why this errored. And let's go. Shoot, this doesn't really give an example of the code base that caused it. So let's see what this says. Let's compare these two commits and see why that's occurring. Reload that in the back end. Protected logger, construct, yada, yada, yada. Where is this? Arguments. Oh, I think it's around aliasing. That's probably it. So what did this do? That's not it. And so let me guess. Hold on. Before I switch off, I'm trying to make run phpstan. That's complaining about something. Should have ran that before I committed. So I'm assuming that we've got errors on I don't know what. The aliasing should have shown an error first off. So we'll have to see. No errors. Why'd this break? PHP unit. Oh, come on. What else? What else broke now? Okay. I do need to fix the head branch. So let's go ahead and do that. So main check out. New branch. Fix head. Apparently I have a branch called fix head. Let's delete it. What is it like? Command option new branch. Fix head. Let's go look at the failures on head then. Scheduled tests for linting. So let's go fix that. Again, we'll do, what was it? The browser default rule. Get parts. Sorry if you hear the noise. Apparently kids are a ruckus upstairs. Then the test pass here, but they didn't. Oh, PHP sent other versions on dev. That scan is what failed. Commit AV. Git push, origin, fix head, pr creates, fix deprecations and test failures with latest phpstan. Submit it. So we'll get this to run and fix it all up. Where was this test again? It was against PHP unit with render callback rule test, which there was something that was fixed in phpstan for static callables, and that was fixed. So let's rerun this test locally and see if it passes. My fear is that it only passes on dev, but I don't think that's going to be the case. Or only fails on dev, but I think it's going to always pass now. So here we go. Yep. Let's rerun it while that's happening. Or not rerun failed test. Let's rerun the whole git caboodle. And see what's failing. So I'm pretty sure in our set, we have all these conditional rules based on PHP version. So data set 3. I have to collapse this. I don't want to close that commit because that's where I need to look for items. Okay, well, this passes on my local, but that should be the same as what Circle CI is dealing with. Default. Okay, that's what Circle CI is failing on. But that was just, I pushed that. Access to property. What? Yeah, parts. Why would Circle CI be failing on this if that's exactly what I pushed? That's not the right one. Okay. Circle CI build. Test Drupal project. I pushed a commit for test rule dataset 7 called undefined method. Oh, undefined method. That's a thing. Node namespace name get parts. Namespace name get parts. Oh, what? Okay. Because there's different versions. So let's see. Composer install. Shoot. This is deprecated in PHP parser, but when did it get deprecated? Let's see. Shoot. So let's do composer show. 4.16. Let's see. It's not open issues, but see if it says when it's deprecated. Let's go to code. Release was 3 days ago. And phpstan's not requiring it, so that's, come on. Added for forward compatibility with PHP parser 5. deprecated to direct access. So what we should do is we can add a method exists. So we can get the parts. The annoying part will be if I run phpstan right now, any of this, we'll evaluate to true. So why don't I just do phpstan, ignore next line. We'll just ignore the next line. So that way it will default to getting the method, but fall back to the deprecated property along the way. Great. So if AV, no, go forward. Whatever yeah. Support and PHP parser. We'll support both with that fix. In the meantime, while I wait for that run to go through, let's close some of this up and go look at the service map. So it's saying that class is unaccessible in 50, which if we look here, it is the service definition. But what it should do here is if the class is not set, it looks for the service definition alias, which is actually being set in line here. That's being set in line, it looks like. Else if this class exists, the service ID, which this could, or maybe it's just this. It's breaking, else continue. So it should be skipped. Like, if there's no class set, it should skip that service entirely. Let's find the usages of this. So the service map, it's built by iterating all of the different YAML files. It's an alias shortcut, so we go here, alias, it replaces the @ symbol. The alias, so that should be doing a lookup. Now, so let's look up this logger channel workspaces. Maybe that's it. So we have the alias. Let's look wherever else this is being used. Parent, logger channel base. So maybe that's why. I'm going to comment this on that issue. I think I may have found it when dealing with inline aliases, which also have a parent. YAML. The alias is logger channel workspaces, which we look up the definition as. So let's look here. Given in. So that's the alias. It's a service map. And if there's an alias, we resolve the class, the alias, before resolving the parent. So in here, alias service, if is not set alias service, if is set alias service class, or is set, there's no continue in this part. We should resolve the alias and then the parent. That's what happens. So essentially, I think this line needs to move after we do the alias resolution. So this is going to be kind of a pain to test, I think. So let's try to get this head fixed and then move on. All right. phpstan on 11.x. What is this failing here? The PHP unit's going to fail. But it's not failing on anything else. Shoot. I think I need to change this to be allowed failure, but let's try to find. Oh. I wish the 10.x would have finished running. Okay, so 10.x is failing too. But I thought we just had a whole bunch of phpstan releases that included this fix. Last week, 10.1. How many commits are ahead of this thing? Compare to... I don't want to compare it to a tag. Let's compare it to branches. 1.10.x. How many commits have gone to 10.x? Since this was released, and that's going to take forever to load. Yeah, because what? This runs phpstan. So let's see. It's been 44 commits. And if I were checking, let's see. JSON validate stub, PHP 8 stubs, case insensitive, file mask, PHP update, parser, it's fine. Fix static variable names, test PHP 8.3. One, I'm not sure why this is failing. New behavior around, methods use statically and callables only for bleeding edge. This is it. So the tests are running in bleeding edge on dev, and this is yet to be committed. So, shoot. I need to figure out what to do here because the tests are going to fail. I need to allow them to fail. I guess I'm going to have to make those be allowed to fail. Then I need to make sure I actually update them. Oh, decisions. Let's reopen that. So let's see here. Let's open this rule. And we got test 0. Why won't this just read correctly anymore? So fixtures, Drupal, modules, pre-render callback rule. Module, let's look at these lines. So this is line 30. Why did this not get fixed before? Key 4, line 30. So this says if, oh yeah, hold on. This is supposed to be caught. Expected, actual. Oh, line 31. Oh, is not callable. Toolbar link builder is not callable. Did that get removed in Drupal core? So this, it's resolving this correctly, and same with this lazy builder. Shoot. So maybe we do have something going on in here. User, what is this? It says user toolbar link builder. We got that method, render toolbar links. It says it's not callable, but it totally is, and something broke. But it is callable. Oh, because it's not static, but it's going to be accessed through the service container. So, oh boy. All right, so let's go look at the rule. This is a pretty big thing that needs to be fixed. So if we look at our rule here, supported keys, do process node. Let's go down. It's not in the rule itself. Do process node. It's not in here. It's in get type. So it's in this single, it gets the service. And I think the problem here is that it's treating it like it's a static callable, but it's not actually a static callable. New constant array type, constant string type. No, but it's, see here, it's not a static type. It is class string. True, it's not a class string. It's an instance. So let's, is class string. What is class string? Is class string type. Get class string object type. So I think that's what needs to happen, is this needs to be converted to a new object type, because it is intended to be, it's going to be an object type returned from the service container. So that, I think, needs to happen. Render callback rule test. Let's run you, see what happens with that change. Because that would be the same for this route processor CSRF. If we look at render placeholder CSRF, yeah, the lazy builder. Yeah, it's a function. It's just not a static function. So I think that will fix it. And I probably should make this be its own fix because it's very specific. All right, so that passed. I kind of want to make that be its own PR just so it's specific. AV, Drupal service method should be object type. Because it's an instance and not a class string. Okay, so that's a legitimate failure. Let's go back to this undefined array class. I think I figured this out here, but mocking it will be... No, it shouldn't be hard, actually. There is a unit test for that. So if I go to test, source, we got service map factory test. I think this is it. So we could add a factory validator get service. Yeah, so we should be able to do this in here. Okay. Let's copy this reference. Add similar test fixture in that test. So that way I don't forget. Okay, so this is passing now. I'm going to change. I think I'm just going to, since the main fix is files changed. So render callback rule should use object type for service class instance. I think that's the primary fix going on here. The deprecation on get parts is just a little nice to have. Okay, so this will pass. Once this is passed, I can go back to, where is it? This better static scope check, and then I can get a release out. So this needs this PR. I'm going to go ahead and get back to main and work on this auto wire one now. We can go to the service map test. So let's add a service concrete from a parent. We need, what's something that's an alias? That's a parent. What's something that else that has parent on it? Concrete service. So we have nothing in here that actually tests aliasing. So I should do that first. So let's do inline alias with inline. Let's just call it inline alias. And this will be something without a parent. Let's try with inline config storage think. Oh, but that's one problem. If I look at this, validator get service, the set service map, set Drupal services. If I look at its usages, I need to move this processing out of here, I think. to make this work, well, that can go for another place. Let's do alias with parent. So we'll just say that the alias is going to be unknown parent. No, we want a parent. What's the example here? So parent is logger channel based. We have this. Because that would be a great example to just have in here. So let's go into Drupal. We're going to copy that out verbatim and use this. So core.services.yaml. So let's go ahead. Logger base. Why has this got an error? Oh, because I didn't do it. So abstract is true. Class is logger channel class factory. Does anything in here have factory even, or is that's one of the to-dos? We'll just do get, and we'll say, just copy this example verbatim. So parent base arguments and now this is an inline alias and everything is gonna break. On a whole, I don't know how this is actually going to end up looking and working. But that's essentially what it's going to look like when it's transformed. And yield unknown validator, right? That should be the ID and then the service. So I don't know. Let's try just copying this. Yield. I don't know where it was actually failing. So I'm not even sure what to test. So let's run it and see what shows up. Just run a callback rule. We're waiting for the core baseline. See what comes back. Second. So how long has this been running? See, undefined array key class. Hey, great. There we go. I replicated it. That's awesome. So I feel like we need to do the aliasing first and then resolve the parent, which means that it's not about if it has in here. So let's try moving this. So we're gonna go. So we have alias service. Or should that then be the service definition The service definition should then become the alias, which would kill off this code. If class exists, alias, otherwise service ID. I'm going to try that. Let's run the test and we'll see what happens, because at least it's kind of there. The test did not perform any assertions. Well, that's not a failure, at least. So this should be... So we should be able to say self assert equals class service get class. I think that will work. I hope. All right. Check baseline. Do we break court? Nope. So we're going to go ahead, squash and merge this. Squash merge. Delete that branch. Then go to scope checks. This is going to want me to resolve that conflict. Look like I can do that all in line. Or in the web interface. Let's do the incoming change. I want to drop the one that I did. That's not what I wanted to do, except the current change. Yeah, because I want to ignore what I was doing. Let's commit to merge. And then click update branch. Or that did cause it to be updated. So wait for that one. You can close these two other tabs. And let's go run some linting locally, phpcs. Nothing there, phpstan. I think we'll be all set. No. Oh, well, that's because I got a... one, I forgot to make a new branch, but let's rebase all of these. Stop. We run phpstan-var. Issue is 578. Right. Get new branch, GitHub 578. Git commit AV. Handle aliases before parent resolving in service map. Let's do push origin. GitHub 578. Go PR, create. Fixes 578. Submit. Well, good. That will unblock some Drupal core stuff and also fixes a bug, another bug that was reported. So I always like to have a release at the end of these streams which fixes some bugs, and looks like that'll be the case. Now, this one I wanted to work on as a feature to try and figure out what's inside of the called method. I need to see if I gave notes for myself. I thought I looked into this a little bit. Like, I kind of don't want to support it because this method will probably be going away in favor of a trait, but to be fair, not everybody's going to move off of that trait immediately, and that's not necessarily guaranteed. So if we get the method, we can call invoke with null for the first param, which I don't like call. That means it's actually going to invoke the code, but we can see what we can get back the values then. So just waiting for these two tests, and it's going to do the build integration test. This failed. Why? Did I not run? I didn't. What test failed? I thought I ran the whole test. Service map factory test. I didn't run the whole thing. So let's run it with config storage staging. Test set 3, 128. Oh wait, that's expected. So config storage sync. I guess, oh, we remove the config storage sync. I think that's fine. Staging, we're just going to say that the class, we're going to fix this. Get class is, let's rerun the test. I think that's fine. Yeah. Get diff. Get commit AV. Aliases no longer track alias name. You can see where that might be a problem, but I don't think it should be, because once the container's compiled, I don't think that's even tracked anymore. And if not, we can improve it. This entire thing, the service map is old code that needs refactoring someday anyways. All right, so let's go to this PR. Add the test case. Let's go check it out. So GitHub PR check out. Let's do git check out main first. Pull git PR check out. Check out 562. Then do git merge main and git push. Let's make sure it's up to date. All right. So what we need to do in the render callback rule. So in the render callback rule, we need to see, we get the callable. And do process node is in class. Here, count items, do process node. Check to validate the parameters. Do process node. Get constant string types is If it's not callable, trusted callback type. Where do we use this here? So is not callable. It is a function. Else matches 0. So like in here, else, so in here it says does not implement. Now it's like we need to new object type matches 1. Like object equals get class reflection matches. So we could say allowed methods equals do stop equals null. That's one area. If not is callable. Method types and names. If that exists, has attribute. What is this? The lazy or is trusted callback attribute. That's not what we want. If is not trusted attribute type. So this would be a else. So this would be else if is trusted callback type interface. So if it's the interface, we will need to else blah 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 find method type and name. We're gonna do type equals type be somewhat similar to up here. It's an object, but it's type and method name. Get type. Oh, hold on. This might be constant array. Type and method name. Get me to the source. So list constant array type. Type and method names. Type and method name. Let's get into here. Type and method names. Constant array type and method. Get type. It's just type. This shouldn't break, but that's good enough to just get the proof of concept going. I was going to say it's not found. There's a polymorphic call. Not matches 2, but it would be get method. So this would be something similar to for the xdebug path. So let's make sure I have my breakpoints dropped. What else? If closure, that's something different. All right, so those are the 2 areas that would need testing. But before I get too far, let's get ready to merge some of these PRs, hopefully. All right, looks like this just finished. So I can squash and merge this one. All right, so that was deleted. You can wait for that to finish. And now I can run xdebug on this test. So let's go to test. I'm just going to run it once to make sure it clears out that weird cannot find Drupal error, and then run xdebug. And see if I can get a breakpoint on there, or see if this causes it to crash. Rather, running this will cause if this is wrong in any way, shape, or form, it's going to cause a crash, which it already did. Nope, let's run it again. All right. Let's see where this is erroring. Is it a polymorphic call in each instance? It looks like it. All right. Reflection error. Okay. 246. Argument one must be of type array, null given. Oh. Okay. So let's look at that. Oh. That's not what we want to invoke. We want to invoke trusted callbacks. Now, if I can get to trusted callbacks, we don't want to invoke the actual callable. We want to invoke trusted callbacks. Which is that's the method, and that's the array of items. So let's rerun the test and see if it crashes or not. Hopefully now it should not crash. We got an error on dataset 2. Method trust does not exist. Well, that's interesting. Okay, so static callback, pre-render callback. Oh, render callback interface. Render callback interface does not need that method. So, trusted callback type. So that means we need to specifically change this. Else if, or maybe not. Hold on. New object type. Shoot. Render callback interface. When all public methods are meant to be used, this is not. Damn it. Oops. Sorry. Just adds more complexity to this that I don't want to add. So What if we do as method? I guess we're gonna have to do this. If matches is equal to 0, object equals, let's say, if object has method allowed methods equals object get class reflection. And prepare to drop a breakpoint there. And then we got to fix it down here to be the same way. So else if, so if it is object equals type and the name type is object. So we'll say type if object is object and object has method trusted callbacks. See if this is on all types. That is on all types, I think. So you can say, so we can just go for that. Then cut and paste with the breakpoint. And then we can just do object, get class reflection. All right, let's rerun the test now. And that should fix that failure. I hope. Let's check this back out. Handle alias. Okay, we can squash and merge. Delete the branch. That's at least 2 bug fixes that will be going out. And maybe we can get this one out as well. Does not exist. If has method trusted callbacks. That's not supposed to be passing here. If object has, so let's put a breakpoint. 2 instances are identical. Key 0 does not implement. And why did that pass? So we have this else if. Let's, you know what? We're going to change this to also be else if has method and move this in line here. Let's do a breakpoint. So that shouldn't bypass any extra logic, creating lots of these object types, but that's fine. This is another else if. So I'm going to go ahead, run. I'm going to debug this. Yeah, let's debug this rule. And see if we can figure out why that's crashing right here. I don't understand how that caused a test to fail. These are all else ifs at the end of something. So like, why would that cause it to pass? Or wait, shoot. Is that because this is where the new tests added? That's why, because it's intended to be. Those are the actual test failures. That's why. So if I were to look at test run 4, if I go back to 4, test data set 58,103, yeah, because those are the failures that we need to fix. So I did not need to make those changes necessarily. So we can step over. T, throwable, reflection, render callback object does not exist. So let's stop that. And I'm going to quick undo some of those changes since I feel like it was a little bit cleaner without the additional else if. This one is okay to do. And this one is an else. All right, let's rerun this debugger. I'm going to go put a breakpoint here and there. I'm going to put one here and keep that one there and re-debug this render callback one and see why this is passing has method. Because it shouldn't be. And then can get to test failure number 10, which is what the PR adds as a failing test. Let's wait for the debugger. Come on. All right. So key checked. Let's look at the object. This type for render callback interface object. Okay. So type, method, and name. I'm just going through the whole thing. Pre-render callback type. This type has method. Gets static object type. Has method. Class reflection. Oh, because it's a trinary logic. Ah, that's why it. Yes. Need to add the. That's why. Because trinary logic is always a value that's set. So if it's not a Boolean value and returns trinary logic, so it's always going to pass an if because it has value. It's my mistake. So now I can remove those other debugging breakpoints on the has method check. All right, so now we should just get dataset number 10 as a failure, which is what we'll debug. All right, perfect. So let's debug this test and see if the allowed methods returns the actual allowed methods, and then find out if the method name is in that array. And then we'll be able to report back that the method is missing, and hooray. That should be a pretty big improvement for this render callback rule. So one day I'm going to sit down and refactor into various different rules. All right, allowed methods. Here we go. There's matches 2. So you have to say if that is array on methods and or in array matches 2 and allowed methods quick search errors equals rule error builder message f see %s callback method so it'd be key checked matches 2 and let's copy this into the rule builder. So callback method s callback method is not present in trusted callbacks at key s, and that's where position comes in. All right, so this should now match the right amount. 4. So this would say access callback method, access result, blah, 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 is not present in trusted callbacks. I should say, so matches, this should be constant string type. Let's do matches 1. I think that'll do it. Yeah, that looks like it'll work. You can go ahead and stop the debugger. I'm going to copy this line here and go down. And this, instead of matches 2, this is type and method name with get method. So the matches 2, paste, and this is this. I need to do the describe. Clean that up in a moment, but let's rerun this debugger and see. So while this is being slow and taking forever to scroll around, let's clean this up so I can make sure I format this all properly. Because I should be using get types and describe. All right. So if not is array allowed methods, or it's not in the array, describe the type, should go up to this. Let's break it apart again to make sure I describe everything appropriately. So I can use matches 1, but I feel like I should use the describer. Constant string type. Describe. Constant string type. Get value. Yeah, that's different. Let's try this. Come on. Kick it. And this is the worst part when it takes forever for the debugger to kick in. I think because behind the scenes it's calling phpstan and phpstan is not happy. So let's see. I'm gonna run it and just see what kind of errors I'm getting back. Define variable stop. Yeah, everything's just running a little goofy. So if I hit play, I'm just gonna play over all of these and see if those in the two rings are just all right. So let's go to the test because the test has render callback rule test. See what words they provided. Does not implement. That's not it. Okay, so let's look at what I had written. Oh, let's go do the difference here. So access callback method. And let's get rid of the debugger. Oops. Well, that's new, and I didn't know Control E was recent files. Let's just rerun the test. So we'll say method is not present at key. So this trailing part isn't there. Gotta make sure it ends at a full stop with the period, which this does not do. So let's add that. We're gonna add the tooltip. Let's just rerun because I know I fixed a handful of things right there. So that'll be exciting so now when you inspect your render callbacks, it will check to see if the function actually is in that method. And also be checking if you're doing things in it you shouldn't be doing, like anything statically or not statically. Expected. So I guess method. Oh. Is not present in trusted callbacks. I'm just going to copy this whole error message and rework it from here because this is not right. And also make sure I have the right change record. Oh, that's the attribute. Implement attribute. This is the change record for the callback interface. CS. Let's go there. Let's rerun it, and then I'm gonna try to fix the error message. So callback method, this is not right because this is showing the class name is not present in, and this is wrong too. Okay, yeah, those need to be flip-flopped. So let's flip-flop that there. And there. What do we got? In the test was missing the period. All right, I'm gonna rerun it. And we'll see now if that got flipped around and is fixed. So So one of the fixes. Like this needs to be. That's not the greatest either. So I think I'm going to just remove that and just say it's not available in trusted callbacks. Unified diff. Yeah, I think for these in the PHP unit, you're right. It's going to make that a lot easier. So let's rerun the test. And I think this will make the error output a little bit cleaner by just saying untrusted callbacks. Let's see, it should fail. Yeah, thank you. That definitely makes this easier. I don't know if this is good enough or if we should do a better description of trusted callbacks. But I think it's fine. I think it's good enough. I just don't know if this should be a what do you want to call it? A more verbosely described. I don't. It's horrible description of it. I can hear. Type in method name. We describe it, and this that can't even be described. So I feel like it should be. Where do we go in here? Where am I looking for? Get type. If it should be constant array type, if we should describe this basically, if we should convert it into this constant array type to describe trusted callback, so that way you're aware of where the trusted callback should be. But this might be fine as it is. It's just these errors are kind of like backwards incompatible. Like if I try to fix it later on, people might have it in their baseline for some reason, and then it would be broken. Oh, I didn't actually remove it. But it would take a lot just to make. Let's just try it. Actually, I'm going to copy these lines right here and trusted callback method type. This would be type in method name, type in method type and method name. No. Get type. Can we even do? No, can't describe it. Why is this throwing an error? Undefined variable method. Oh, just still. So what if we did describe and used verbosity level of value. Let's go rerun the test. So I think that'll just make this easier to describe in the error, although it makes this just even more complex. But let's see what the result looks like. So no, because that does make it even the static class, and it's not a static. No, that method is static. And that's describing callback method. Key, hold on. Oh, that's one area to put it. It's not implement, and we'd have to do the same here with trusted callbacks. That's where I actually meant to put this. So method is not present in callback class at key does not implement. Yeah, I feel like this needs to denote the actual class. So this would be method type describe value. I think this is needed to make it easier to understand where the method should be added to. So it's going to be worth the extra verbosity. All right, so let's look at that output. Not present in. I forgot to fix this. Yeah, and trusted callbacks. That's what we want. Now I'm wondering if it's worth it or not. Yes, it is. It's worth it. Array static. It's not static though. Get type because yeah, okay. I'm going back on this again. Let's just undo it. I'm gonna keep it simple. Just keep it simple. I guess the only problem is like if you don't know callback class. My concern is what if trusted callback, you don't know where trusted callbacks needs to go. So we have callback class here. How are we printing it? Gonna reformat this to again just make it easier to grok. So callback method is not present in so key checked the method constant string type get value describe. Let's just throw this one in. For there, and I do %s dot. Let's do type of method name. Just it says get. It always says returns an array of the types. I just want to describe it. Type only. I guess type only would be the way to do it. So let's nope. Type only would be. Let's just see what happens. It's probably not the right one. Because it's going to say that it's just an object, I bet. In the meantime, go back here. 174 cannot call get native reflection on class reflection null. Yeah, I know that. Called undefined method get class reflection. Variable allowed methods might not be defined. Great. Let's look at the test. Let's look at these errors. So this is static. I'm just going to keep it simple. Folks will have to figure out where this is supposed to go. Or we improve it and nobody should have that in their baseline anyways. So let's just replay it. It should pass. $50. What's more wild is the fact that I love that this somehow works. Like with this dynamicism, the dynamics there. So that's really cool to see. All right, PHP Stan, let's make you happy. So that way, it's almost time to sign off. Yeah, so let's get this. I want to get this to land before I have to sign off. Allowed methods might not be defined. Oh, whoa, wait a second. Hold on. Well, that's a big bug that I made. Not a big bug that I made, but here we go. Let's rerun phpstan and the test because I had an inline if statement basically. See if I can get it back. And what I should do, we have a private function here for get type. I should have a private one for trusted callback values. All right, so let's do one here for private function get trusted callback values. It's going to return an array. And the return type is string, array of strings. So let's collapse this so I can more easily see. So this needs an object type. Come on. Object type, and get back up to here. So we have type, values equals, let's just return values and update all of these calls. Allowed methods equals this. Oops, we want to do this. Get trusted callback calls. And let that sit as an error. Clean that up. And slowly refactor this. So is it this? Get allowed trusted callback type. This is always an array. So if I run the tests, I should still pass. From that refactoring. And nope. Type static type given. Okay, so let's change this to just be a type. Let's say class reflection equals type. Get class type with class name. Get object type with object type. So we'll do say values equals array. We can do for each. Yeah, this is what we'll do. Because it could be a union type as class reflection. Let's cut that. We're going to say native reflection equals. Actually, we can just do has method. So continue just in case it randomly fails. And we can say we can do class reflection, get native reflection, and array merge values. Okay. So that should fix it. So basically, we're just going to iterate through all the possible reflections because we could have a union type. And if there's nothing has the trusted callback, if the reflection doesn't have trusted callbacks, we skip it and then we merge in all the possible values of that. And it passes, which means that our PHP stand should pass. And this cleans it up just a little bit. This rule could probably be cleaned up and deduped, but I'm going to save that for another time. Awesome. That passed. PHP yes. Let's just make sure coding standards pass. They do. Let's just look at this diff. Yeah, so we're adding a new else. That else everything pass. Get the new object type. Check its values. Cool. Same here. Else if is trusted. And we have to do this check because the previous one checks if it's of the interface and if it's of the trusted callback attribute. And again, we're doing this has method. Actually, you know what? There's going to be oh yeah, it has to have that method. For here, this is that render interface. I could have a more explicit check, but I'm not going to. So that passes. And then the rule just updates against the types. I'm not going to commit in PHP. I'm not going to do it in phpstorm because I'm committing to a fork, and I always end up screwing that up. Fetch methods from trusted callbacks and inspect push. All right. So let's rename this. Check if method exists in render callback rule. All right. So there we go. Let's see if this passes for the most part, and then I can get ready to merge it up. That would be a pretty good feature enhancement. While I wait for that, static element on a trait. I think that'll be fixed in phpstan-11. We have this fun one where if an entity query is set as a property or a method, it loses all of our internal types. Drupal's event dispatch is incompatible with Symfony, throws an error. I think this got copied. Oh, I moved this from Drupal check. Yeah, and that's, I don't know. There's issues there because we supported the old way of doing it and the new way. And a lot of these have just been kind of sitting for a while. So I think this brings me somewhat back up to date on our the backlog. Just want to wait for this to finish up before I merge it. Actually, I'll probably just have to sign off and tag the release after. Because I'm going to have to run, but let's just see. Just a quick review. What's been committed since? It should just be the fix for head. Yep. So fix of head to make sure we're using the object type instead of static, because it was failing on, it was thinking it was doing static calls to non-static methods, which is great that it's catching that. Better static scope checks and handling aliases. Hey, thanks for joining in. But I'm just about to sign off. I usually do these for about 2 hours and just a little bit over that mark. So once this is done, once these test runs are done, I'll tag a new release of phpstan-drupal. Next week, hold on, I gotta check the dates. If I'll be here next week or not. It's the 5th. Yeah, I'll probably be here next week, day after the holiday, and I'll either be working on phpstan-drupal or retrofit. Probably retrofit. I want to try to bounce back and forth. If you're not familiar, retrofit is my backward compatibility layer to run Drupal 7 code on Drupal 10. So I'll be back next week hacking around on that. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll catch you next time.